Okay, we're recording.
Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is number 54 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And today I am featuring someone that, I've actually been trying to get our schedules to meet up. Mark Green. Thank you for joining me on this this wonderful day and featuring you as, and I'm going to say it, okay, as our service hero.
Thank you.
and I want to say why there was a little hesitation in there, because those that know that I've been doing this now, because I'm day number 54, that I haven't had this hesitation in calling someone a service hero. But I want Mark to explain what it is and why it is that he had to kind of we discussed this. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark.
All right. Well, first of all, the one thing that I noticed as I turned on the video this morning is there's a little sign behind me that says, "Make this moment count." And what was interesting about the sign is normally the sign is like, it's gold in color, but this morning it has a different light to it. It's like there's some kind of light shining on that sign that says, "Make this moment count." So I think we need to do that. And, I'm a guy that, I spent 34 years in the Army. My last couple of assignments, I was in charge of dealing with veterans and service members' problems every day. Everything from, family problems to health problems to pay problems to every kind of issue or adversity that would come at them. And I got pretty good at it because, when you do something over and over and over, you kind of know the process, and you become that go-to person in confidence to help them. And I think in your arena, it's kind of the same way. There's a lot of confidence, a lot of confidential information that you have to be careful of because, people judge. And you don't want those people to be, their information is for them to choose if they want to share it or not. But the military taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about leadership. It taught me a lot about compassion. It taught me a lot about just being there for people, as they're growing and learning. And I'm just blessed to be here after those 34 years, retired and also an 80% disabled veteran. To not only do what I did before, but also go from in service to of service of others. And that's really what I do now. And I enjoy it. So.
And that's why I really wanted to bring you on as a service hero. And the word hero was something that you and I had to discuss a little bit, because it actually means a little something different from your military background. Why don't you discuss that? And because you really brought up a really good point, and I want to be respectful of it.
I think the thing was, we had kind of conversed back and forth about the word hero, and I thought, the real heroes, some of them are not here because they've lost their lives for protecting others or putting themselves in harm's way when others weren't willing to or could not. And I consider those the real heroes. And something just happened to me recently, which was I'm creating an event called VetFest Live in Missouri. And what was interesting was I have always talked about resiliency and keeping people in the fight, that are living. But I didn't realize to honor the fallen. And I think God had placed something in my heart that said, wait, don't forget the fallen. Mm-hmm. And so recently I met a family who did lose their son's life to saving someone else who is now a hero and a legacy. And they have a tribute bike that was on their Harley dealership floor that they're giving away at my event now. And that is so powerful because I realized God was trying to tell me, don't forget the ones that have been lost. Right. Also remember to keep the ones in the fight that are still here. And that was a powerful, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Every skin, every hair on my arm is standing straight up. But I realized that was the other part of it that I didn't realize was going to get placed in front of me. And I really wasn't ready for that when I went to St. Louis last week. But it happened. And now this family you know, is going through the grief, is going through, you know, something tragic in their lives. And they made me a part of that. And it's so powerful. I just realized that they are the ones that need that comfort, and that they need that protection and that blanket of caring from others that we can't always give by ourselves. We need a community to do that. And that, I think that's the same thing that you do, Tamara, is that you bring the community together to bring hope. And even sometimes when that hope, you know, ends up not being what people want, we know that there's always a reason in the season. And I mean, we are right where we are and making the moment count. So, you know, that's kind of how I feel about all that. So,
well, thank you for saying that. And, you know, with all the technical difficulties that we had in trying to put this together, and thank you for thinking outside the box. And so we're recording this, and then we will be putting it on Facebook. I shared with you something, and what you just said, I don't want to start bawling here, but, you know, for those that don't know, which there's many, we lost one of our ambassadors over the last, I only found out about it in the last hour, and someone that meant, you know, one thing working in a community that you know is dealing with a life-threatening disease, similar to, and that's why I said it's interesting that we had slated this already for you and I to visit. I thought, how interesting is that? Because I thought, you know, the military, your role in the military, and the fact that every day you were serving in a way, and those in you know, because some of your stations were in some amazing locations. You had so many, you know, you've had such an interesting career, and those people that are in those countries that you serve, those people that are actually out there fighting and losing their lives, and like this one family that you just spoke about with the Harley dealership that is giving, you know, when you're working with a community that it's a life and death sometimes situation, it's really, it brings a whole new light onto the responsibilities that you have, and you try to, you know, like in this case, and I know I'm going on and on, but I've lost a few of our people, and it always hurts. But then it just, I don't know about you, but then it drives me that much more. It's like, okay, you know, she believed in this so bad, so much, that she actually was the one that named our ambassadors, and was the one that took that first step, that first leap in the very beginning. And, you know, I with her family, I'm going to want to pay a tribute, so I'm not going to state her name right now. But it really, I thought, wow, you deal with the ones that lose their lives in the process of serving active, and then your community is losing many because of the fact that they get so depressed when they come home, and they're you know, they're dealing with things, and that has got to be a difficult place to be. And so isn't that part of what you're doing out there, and you know, like, you're telling your story, getting out on stages?
Absolutely. You know, we you know, like, I consider myself a messenger of hope. You know, there is a lot of veterans that come back, and, you know, they may not have a health problem, but it could be a mental health issue, or, you know, a post-traumatic stress from the situations that they dealt with, or that repeated, you know, coming and going with their families, and all of the turmoil that brings to reconnect and, you know, remove problems and resolve issues that they had that they weren't prepared for. And so there's a publication, it's called Defianers, that I'm in on the 27th of July. It's called World Y Day, and it's done by Jerry Visca. And that publication is going out to the community to share why we do what we do. And it's not always about, you know, building your business. Sometimes the creating a movement instead of just building a business.
Right.
Because if we can keep people in the fight and give them hope and purpose, even if things don't always look the way that we want them to, and live out their lives as best as they possibly can with every ounce of energy given to the good and the joy of living while we're living, that is, to me, living.
Right.
And I share that everywhere I go with these veterans. And I don't think it's just veterans that it connects with when I talk about that.
No.
So, we all deal with problems. We all deal with adversity. We all deal with, but it's also our attitude. You can choose whatever life brings you, you can choose a positive side or a negative side. And I had a dark day yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get this thing. And, I got a little anxiety kind of bubbled up. And then I checked myself at the end of the day and I said, well, that's over. I'm not doing that again. It's kind of like clouds. We choose which ones we're going to engage with. And the negativity will always try to pull in, and you got to fight it because it's always there. It happens as soon as you wake up. It's like it wants to download that cachet right into your mind, thinking that something's going to go bad but if you start thinking positively and rewire a little bit, you can live a life of joy no matter what life is bringing you. And that's just the hope that I try to bring to others every day now, and even to myself, because, you have to embody the change that you want to see in others. If you don't do that, then really you're not really who you say you are. So try to do that as best as you can. Even if you fall or fail forward, don't fail back. And I'm that kind of guy. I just don't, I'm just blessed to be here. And I think, we're making every moment count. So, and I think that sign over there with it bright today, it got natural light. It wasn't something I turned on the light bulb to make it shine like that. It just did. And that is a sign to all people to make every moment count.
Absolutely. It's so true. Absolutely. I can tell you this. I had a discussion with our ambassador just this last week, and that's exactly what she was doing. She was so proud. She's so proud of herself. In fact, she had her Chemo Buddy shirt, and she had a little Chemo Buddy's bag, and she had talked to her doctor in the clinic, and she had been going in there and talking to the different people to say, hey, don't do it alone. We're here for you. And she took such pride in that when her daughter came to me this morning, she actually was so grateful that she had that, and that really meant something to her mother, being a part of a movement, because her mother had been on a disability for a while and had kind of lost her way in not feeling like she had her purpose. And in having a purpose, having a purpose to serve others, it's amazing how that ends up healing yourself, healing your soul. That's one of the reasons that I really started this whole 365. I was challenged to do 365 days of awesome, but then I could focus on what I was going to do with that. So I took the challenge because I had to. It's just my personality. But it's like, okay, I've been challenged, I got to do it. And then it's like, okay, technical difficulties, whatever. It's going to happen. Thank you for helping that happen today. But it was coming up with celebrate success through service.
Yes.
And that really goes along with everything you're sharing right now. Everything that the ambassador that has just passed was embodied. And so many people, you want to bring that message out there. And I love what you're doing, because humor, hope, and heart are the three words that Chemo Buddies has washed everything through. And the hope is such an important piece of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And I see the connections because it's constant. Like the other day when I sent you the picture of the pink black belts from one of the women who is the highest ranking in the globe, who has been a mentor of mine, Grandmaster Brenda Sell. And I'm hoping that you get a chance to interview her on your page on your site, because she is a breast cancer survivor. She is a wonderful woman. I just went down there and I shared my story of 34 years ago when her husband came to Fort Bragg when I was a paratrooper and helped me. I broke some bricks in front of the paratroopers, and he just has always been a mentor of mine that I believed in. And now we're carrying that legacy forward. And I didn't know about her healthcare situation until they shared it with me, and asked for a small donation to help support cancer awareness. And so she created these pink black belts, and they're really cool. And I just think that she is a great person to connect with when it comes to that side of dealing with those kind of issues. And I'm just so blessed because those connections constantly happen, and you don't know where they're coming from. They just are going to happen. And I just think that's a great thing that we can build as a community on things that are important, and people are important, and so, I'm just so happy that I got a chance to talk today with you and do what we're doing, because, she also is a very, I hold her in very high esteem, being the highest ranking Taekwondo practitioner woman in the world.
That's huge. She and I actually are connecting. We started connecting, and I really am going to try to get her on. Yeah. And what we'll do today is, for those that are watching right now, I'll put in the comment area the picture that you're talking about, and so that they can see, go down there and see and have a visual. Right. I want to take a moment and talk about you actually explaining your story. I know that I have your book here, the first book, Step Out, Step Up. Mm-hmm. I loved your story from the moment that I first met you in San Diego, and we were sitting around a campfire, our fire pit thing, and we were having a little fun. In fact, I have some of those pictures too, because it was St. Patty's Day. Right. And we were the ones that didn't go out and party.
That's right.
There were plenty of those. They came over and they took pictures and did some fun stuff, but then they went off and did their way, and we were the kind of the more mellow ones sitting around and we had our own style of fun. But I remember you talking about, and so I actually ordered your book. Mm-hmm. and bought it right away, because I was so intrigued by it. And then we saw each other again in Florida. So now I've had it, and you gave me another one, and so I've actually been able to share it with the one I had bought. And the thing that really struck me was you talk very openly and honestly. You just, you are out there, the good, bad, and the ugly, if you will. Because of the fact that you want to be able to share your story so that others can glean from it. And when you were so open about I have to say, of course, being a woman and being a mom and a grandma and everything like that, a nana, I really keyed into your honesty about your family and the decisions that you made because of them. But I would love to hear from you, because I know that you've started a second book, or you have another book that's about to launch.
Yeah, September 1st is the launch of the second book, Warrior's Code, which is a code within a code, basically, to live by for resilience. But yeah, you're right. The story is, I believe it's very powerful. It's got a lot of emotion in it. I was a kid that grew up, didn't have a lot. We lived on welfare, lived in a mobile home. My dad left when I was 8. We lost a brother to murder. There was a lot of adversity. Pregnancy, it's 15 and 16 for my sisters. There wasn't a lot of good. And I didn't want that for my family as I grew up. And so I didn't even graduate from high school at first. It was so difficult. And then I went through divorces, but some of those things I caused myself because of my anger and my things, but there were things that were said that were not true. And so when males deal with that in a family situation where it separates the children from the father, that is one of the most painful things you could ever go through in your entire life. Especially if something's untrue. Now, if it's true, then fine, then that person should own what they own. But when it's not true, it hurts so bad. And so I had to learn that that was a lesson in my life. And so now I don't carry it. You know, it's kind of like we decide what burdens we're going to carry. You can take a pallet of all the headaches and all the adversity you have, and you can set it right there, and it will stay there. Or you choose to live in the moment for your life to make your life the best that you can choose to make it. And I think it's a choice. And so, you know, I went from that to, you know, getting a law degree, and I went from living in a mobile home to now I have a house in Hawaii, you know, right. And I didn't let the stuff in life beat me, but I realized that I had a lot of achievement. I mean, I have my Love Me wall behind me and everything is wonderful. But what I was missing, Tamara, was the heart. I was afraid to open back up because I'd been hurt so many times with three stepfathers and, you know, miserable situations and all these things building up in my life. And I realized that there's a way to get over that. So how do you do that? Well, you rewire your thinking. And it's self-help. It wasn't a drug. I didn't take any drugs. I was like, no, I'm not taking opiates or something that's going to affect my chemical balance in my brain. So I chose to use self-help and affirmations and reading the Bible and, you know, meditation and the things that, you know, breathing and learning to calm myself down in situations. And man, does that make so much difference how you start your day. And so I've learned that the heart is really the center. And, you know, if you can center with the heart, you know, even if you have achievement or don't, or even if you don't have a lot of money or don't, the most important thing is connect with your heart and connect with others' hearts. Yes. And when I went to Jack Canfield's training, they asked me to hug people I didn't know. I'm like, I ain't doing it. Yeah. And this lady takes me down the hallway, and then an hour and a half later, she goes, "Can I have a hug?" I was like, okay, well, she convinced me it was okay to hug people, you know, just to hug them, right? To love them. Right. And so now I can do that with anybody, and it's just a regular hug, and it feels so good to connect the hearts. And I think that's the key to connection. And I was missing that most of my life because, you know, I was angry at the world, and I was using that anger, and I was outwardly manifesting it to people that I even loved. And it was my mistake for that. But I will never take blame for something I haven't done in life. I don't think anybody ever should.
No, I agree with you. And in fact, that's a whole nother discussion because it's a very big discussion. And I think if you have any kind of a strong personality and you're out there many times, that can happen to you. And I think that it's a strength of character oftentimes on how we handle it.
Yes.
And again, you're so open and honest. Plus I think part of it possibly is your education, your experience in the military, just combination also of who you are, because I actually think you're just an amazing person. I'm proud to call you, I'm honored to call you a friend, you know, and that you've also come up with steps and processes and formulas and so that it can boil it down and the thing I love about that is that, yes, sometimes, you know, I don't want to be gender, you know, biased or specific here, but, you know, sometimes the touchy-feely stuff, that works for some, but some that really want to go in there and manifest and step out and step up, if you will, you know, in their lives, they need to feel that there's some type of a formula or they're out. They're gone. And
that's the reason why what I did was I used the book in the beginning as a memoir to connect with people. And then I have a solution, which are the 7 vital steps to resiliency. And they are, if you don't mind, I'll share.
Oh, I would love for you to share them. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to post the picture that you have that goes with that.
Okay. And they are rest first, because we need to rest when our body or our minds are tired. We need to reconnect with others and ourselves when something happens that it's adverse. We need to reset our minds because now we've got things that are going on in our mind we didn't have before. We need to remove problems that we didn't have, that we weren't ready for. because something has changed in our life. We need to resolve issues. And sometimes those are the deeper issues that we need to resolve with ourselves or with others that we've been carrying around. And, we stick them in a suitcase and we drag them behind us and we get them out, and then we go through it in our mind, and then we put it back in the suitcase and we just keep getting in the suitcase. It's like, leave it there, but deal with it. Figure out whatever your healthy limit is with that situation, and deal with it and move on. And then,
can I stop you there? Because I really want to focus on just what you said there, your healthy limit. Because sometimes those suitcases full of that stuff can be very painful, and there could be a reason for it, because so many people, a lot of the people that come with the breast cancer in particular, they're finding sometimes that it might be because of some kind of an abuse situation, some kind of painful
something that's causing
so not to feel guilty if it's not in a healthy limit for you to deal, but to still deal with that suitcase, right? Okay, I wanted to just make that
it's not going to go away. You just have to figure out how you're going to deal with that.
Right. Okay.
And then also setting goals, because that's what we call recon. You're going to recon your future, whatever that may be. Maybe you have to get legal paperwork involved, or maybe you have to, you have to figure out what your goals are between now and whatever it is that you're after in your life. And goal setting and writing it down is so powerful. And because I do it all the time, I do it every year. I review them, I journal, I do all those things. So I like I said, I embody the change that I want to see in others. And then the last one is re-engage with life, re-engage with a different thinking and a different mindset. I call myself the mindset vet for a reason, because I want people to live with joy and happiness in their hearts, and, connect with each other, because that's the power of life. And we need to be able to do that. Even if we're hurting sometimes, share the hurt. It's okay. I've been hurt many times myself. I've had near-death experiences where I saw a light and I didn't know if I was coming back, and so I think in the end, those concrete steps not only work for veterans, but they work for others. And that's in the new book, Warrior's Code. And so my co-author and I have been on this journey for over 3 years, and she is a wonderful person. She has a heart of gold, and she is I call her the Georgia Peach, because she's from Atlanta. And she is awesome to me. And there's been times when I'll have my dark day or whatever. She's like, Mark, everything will be fine. The project's good. We're going to get there, And so you have to, sometimes we need the other person that lifts us back up when we're feeling a little dark. And that's okay. That's part of life. If everybody says, oh, you're always up there in the clouds. Well, people, that's not real life. Live real life the way it is. If you have a moment, have the moment, and then go back to the good side, right? Because it's going to happen.
Right.
I think it's realistic, and, you need to be realistic with yourself and others in tragedy and adversity, because we don't always get a call on what's going to happen, but we have to choose how we're going to deal with that situation when it comes in front of us. Isn't
that the truth? Such wisdom there. That's, the mindset vet. I absolutely love that. I'm just seeing all these images right now. It's like hashtag mindset vet. Because I've been in that t-shirt mode for a while myself, and it's like, but I have a copy. I know it's going to come backwards, but here's your, the one book. Yes. And we'll put copies, pictures in the comments area too, and Facebook. But the thing that also I remember when you were talking about this one in the very beginning, or maybe the second time I met you, was that you have actually, this has done quite well. You've been, this book has been recognized, not just on, if you will, Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about
the book was in Parade Magazine. We've been picked as a pick for the largest book club consulting book club in the world. Harper Collins, Senior Vice President of Creative Development, picked it as a Read to Lead pick for 2017, along with Megyn Kelly and some other books that were on the table that day. Yeah, we're really starting to get the word out, So who is this guy, and why is this information so powerful? And people are like, wow, that is powerful. And
it is
really starting to have an effect in the community, for not only the veteran community, but other communities, because they're seeing the power of those resiliency steps. And every person can take their own story and plug their story into those steps to become more resilient. Mm-hmm. And so now we don't just say it's for veterans. We say veterans and others, because it is for others as well. We all have adversity. We all have problems. We all have things in our life that are difficult. And when that happens, you get it. Like I said, you get a choice, positive or negative, rocket or a rock, you choose. But remember, your life and the life around you, what you project to others matters. And if, it can be a hard choice, and it can be a change. And sometimes it takes time to change our habits, our behaviors, our actions to be in line with that. So we are living the life that we want to live as best as we can.
There you go. And also another thing you keyed into is that you and your co-author are buddies. In like in our community, we believe in buddies. And I know that in military, nobody left behind. And and so we do. Things cross over, because life crosses over. Life is not a little compartmentalized, I'm going to wake up and live in my little bubble today, and I'm not going to have any of the other areas cross in because I live in this little bubble. It doesn't work that way, right? And so that's why I think this is just genius. Now let's also talk, and then we're gonna kind of give you some contact information on you. But you have is it a radio show or a podcast?
Yeah, we have a podcast that's coming out. It was in place already a couple of years now. It's called veteranconnections.us. And we're just getting ready to launch that for veteran communities and veteran businesses and veteranpreneurs across the country, so we can grow a base, so we can share information about, business and, organizations, donation, 501c3s and other companies across the country, so we can connect. And, I talk about connection. But there's another thing that something's bubbling up in me, and I think it's the word fear. We're afraid to get out there. If people don't realize how difficult it was to put your life in a book and just share it, boom, that was a fear in that, right? So, well, I'm going to be judged, and I thought, you know what? If you're authentic and you're vulnerable enough for people to see that something is not the way that you wanted it to be in your life, but that's okay. You're going to make things better for the future. If you are, fear is something that we create ourselves. And we know what conquers fear to me? Fear is something that knowledge conquers fear. Knowing what it is that you're dealing with and not looking at only the negative of it, knowing what you have to deal, because everybody has to deal with something different in life. And I always say no one can carry another person's burden. Only that person can carry that burden, but they can share it in a way that it will bring good to them and good to others. And that is a choice too. So that fear of not being able to say, or, what you want to say, don't be afraid to share. Don't be afraid to open up and say, it's okay. Just give me a big ass hug. That's what I want, right? I just want to be loved. That's all.
Now you're a hug person. Yes. You come full circle on that one, huh?
Right. And so, it's funny because I met a high school friend the other night when I was in St. Louis, and And I gave her a hug as we sat down to have an hors d'oeuvre just to catch up again. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was a great hug you gave." Well, I learned from the best, from Jack Canfield's team. It's like, guys by the name of Forrest Willett. He gave me a hug first time I met the guy, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this guy like of a different persuasion, or is he just love me?" And that's okay. I mean, people get their own choices, but it was such a long hug. I was like, "Whoa." I didn't know how to take it. But then I realized he was just loving on me because he just loves people. And so yeah, give people a hug. They need hugs.
There you go. People need love. Absolutely. All right. Well, why don't you give your contact information, because I know so many people are going to get so much out of this, and I'm hoping that they'll watch it a few times even, because there's so many wonderful nuggets that you've shared. And your life. Thank you for writing and being so vulnerable, because I know I have gotten a lot out of it. That's why I was so anxious to, when this was first started, you were one of the first people that I thought, okay, I'm going to be so excited to get Mark on, because I want people to hear your story, and I want people to hear it over and over and over, because if you can come from where you came from and go through everything you went through and have, continually, and learn all the lessons you did, there's something there almost for everybody in your story. And that doesn't happen often. So thank you for being so open and honest.
Yeah, you can find me at Mark. It's www.mark.green, and it's very easy to find me. Also, the vetfestlive.com site, where we will probably in a few more days, we'll have the donation site set up for that family I was talking about from the Harley dealership. Also, their site is vettom.com, and you can find the Harley that we're giving away that day, as well as a donation site for them as a family, because I believe that's important for me in this event that we're doing in September. It's barbecue and bands and golf for the day, and it's really, the event is not. It's really a cause, not an event to me. It's my why is very big cause to build resiliency across the country for others, and help people with their businesses so they can grow. And so that's the easiest way to find me. And then, of course, both the other book, Warriors Code 001, will be out September 1st. But the book that you showed is already out there on Amazon and the other platforms. So,
if someone wants to donate for the Harley and be involved in that whole Harley thing, do they have to actually be there?
No, they can donate online, and once they do, they get a chance to win the Harley on 1st of September.
Well, there you go. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll put all this information in the comments also, and so that
I'll give you the links and everything so we can get all that. But I want to thank you so much for having me today, Tamara. It was awesome, and you have a huge heart, and I just know that we met for a reason in San Diego, and then we ran into each other again in Tampa. And it's just, this has been great, and I just want to thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you, and thank you for letting me use the title. So we have now closed day number 54 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And our service hero of the day, Mark Green, I thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Tamara.
Bye. Bye. And we'll see everybody else tomorrow.